Okay, welcome to the webinar, Bitrix24 Perfect Project Management. So who are we? I'm Damien Edwards, Commercial Manager of Bitrix24 Partners Interface, and with me I have Andy Naylor, our Support Manager.
Hi guys, if you've got any questions throughout the webinar, just ask us at any time and we'll be able to answer those when we come to the question sections at the end of each section.
Okay, we're partners of Bitrix24. We are located in Sheffield in the UK. We have offices in New York and Dubai, and we are able to provide pre-sales support, including a demonstration, scoping out your requirements and advise you on the best edition to choose, full implementation service, including customization and training. If you choose one of the self-hosted versions options, we can either provide a hosting solution for you or install on your server, and we provide telephone support service. So what is Bitrix24? A suite of in excess of 35 tools for managing your business. More than 3 million users now on Bitrix, available as a cloud on a monthly package, commercial packages starting from $24 a month, and a self-hosted solution. Essentially a one-off cost, just under $1,500 for the base version. With the self-hosted, you should budget really for buying updates each year. You pay 25% of that $1,500 per annum after the first 12 months. So why choose Bitrix24 for your project management? Bitrix has all the tools in order to form groups for projects and assign tasks to individuals within those projects. You can also share documents within those groups, inviting your suppliers and clients into the group to collaborate with them. And then there's a number of ways to do automation and a number of tools for reporting on projects. We're going to look at all those today. So let's have a look at a case study. Firstly, we're going to show you how you might go about creating a new project. We'll look at the business process that we've created for this sample, which shows you how you can do some, kind of add some structure into how you create your projects, how you can then work inside a group to collaborate with your client, and different ways that you can do reporting on your projects. Jump into a site, and what we'll do firstly is go into a company. So I'm going to search for my company in here. Now we're looking at a self-hosted version of Bitrix. Essentially, Bitrix comes in a cloud or self-hosted version. They look pretty much identical from the front end, except for this admin bar, which you can see as an administrator. This user is an administrator. You've got access to this admin bar across the top. Most users don't see that. That's hidden for most users. In addition to access to this control panel on the self-hosted, there are a couple of other additional features that you have. One of them being option to run a process from a company to create this work group. So if we go into our business process tool. Sorry, I apologise. You can actually run this process I'm going to show you from using on a cloud or a self-hosted account. There are some additional benefits of the self-hosted which we'll go into, but yeah, you can actually run this process we're going to look at on any account. I think you need a commercial subscription on the cloud. I think you'll be able to do this on the free and check, but on pretty much most accounts you can do this. So I've got a process called Create Project. So let's say we've won a new job from this particular client, and we can create a project now. This process presents me with a form. we can create our own, we can add our own fields into this form. In this example, we've got a name of the project. We might want to give the project a deadline. We might want to select somebody as the manager of this project, and then we can trigger that process from the company record. The benefit of doing this from a company record in this way is that we can actually pull in some of the information from the company, such as the company name. If you wanted to pull in things like contacts from the company, potentially you could do that sort of thing as well. But this presents you with a nice, easy form. You can't proceed onto creating this project group without using this form. And if we submit that, that will trigger a process. I'm going to show you. I'm not going to submit it that way. I'm going to show you how we would create this project in a slightly different area of the system. Let me just go into the activity stream. Before we do that, I guess it's worth saying also that if I go onto my projects, work groups, projects in Bitrix are called work groups. So if I go to my work groups tab here, I can actually create a work group using the add button here. If we go to here, it gives me the option. So we can create either a work group or a project. And we can create one of those either as an open, private, or external work group. So let's just go through the difference between these. Essentially, the difference between a work group and a project. Project has some dates associated with it, so it'll have a start date and a deadline or end date associated with it. And difference between an open project, this is the project which is freely available to view, request, but users are required to request to join or be invited in. Private work group is an open project is a group that anyone can join without approval. Private work group requires users to be approved by the owner of the group to join. And then an external work group is the sort of group that we're going to create here, where you can invite in your clients or suppliers. So we're going to show you a process whereby you use a form and some automation to create the work group. But of course, you can create these manually by going into the work group section here. Reason why we might create a work group using a process is that it has more structure to how you set these projects up. You can request certain pieces of information in order to create the work group. The work group will be set up in a structured way, the same way every time you run the process, and essentially it's quicker as well from your side. So if we go into the activity stream and go to our workflows, we have a workflow called New Project. So this presents me again with a form. Let's call it project 888. I can select some key people for this project. I'm going to select myself as the manager. We can select some other people who are going to be key to certain areas of this project. We select a deadline date. If we want to put in some notes to describe the project, we can do that. We can do that there. Let's attach a file. Attach a file, and let's select a type of project there. So, as we mentioned before, this is customizable, and it's going to show you how you create this form and what the process does after we submit this form. But at the bottom we've got a type. So it might be that you have a couple of different sort of pipelines in your business, and the projects work slightly differently. So you've got the option here to select the type of project you want to create. It's going to trigger some slightly different processes. In this case, it's going to create a couple of different sets of tasks. Let's submit it. The first thing we see is this approval process. So I did add myself as the manager, so I created it. I'm the manager, and it's asking me to please approve this project. I'll also see this, by the way, in the workflows up here. If you open this up in a new tab, and we order this here, then you'll see that I've got this approved project, please approve project, and add an estimated completion date for the project. So I can action that from here, or I can action it from the home page. Let's do it from the home page. So we're presented with a form, and I've got some options down at the bottom to approve, reject, or delegate. Should I need to delegate this to another user, I've got the option. We need to submit, in this case, a completion date. So after assessing this project, we can put a date in, and then we're going to approve it. Let's click this to refresh, and we can see that that is now complete. We didn't have a notification in this. I think we can probably show you how you can add a notification in, but very good idea to have at that point a notification to say that the project's been created. But let's have a look in work groups here. And okay, so we did have a notification just come through. So a new project has been created called Project 888. Click on this, it'll open up our notification window, and if we click on this, take us through to our project. So brand new project, no posts. You can see that a couple of people have been added into the project, and if we just run through what's available across the top, or quickly, or the main ones, we go into tasks, then we can see that a task has been created for us for this project. Go into the drive, then the document we added in the form has been added into the drive. Some of these features across the top, such as wiki and photo library, lists, may not be required. If you're using a self-hosted version, then you can do things in a bit more advanced way. If you wanted to disable some of these features as part of the process, then you could do that. If you wanted to actually rename some of these as part of the process, I guess that's also possible if you're on a self-hosted version as well. Essentially what this done is it's added the standard documentation, it's added the first task of the project. You also probably have a series of tasks in here, and it's added the people into the project as well we wanted to add in. So we are going to invite in our client, in this case Tara Green, and we don't need to, we can invite them by email. If they're already a user, if you've worked with this client before, then they'll appear when you search for them in the extranet users. If I send an invite out, then hopefully very quickly this user has confirmed membership of this group. Okay, as if by magic, and we can see that she is now a member of the group down here. So we might want to add some activities to the group, or welcome Tara to the group. I think what we should do is just pass you on to Andy. We'll just have a look at how that form was created and how what the business process looks like in the back of this that created this particular project, and then we'll go into looking at some activities. As we said, all this can be done by clicking in work groups and creating your project. All you'd have to do then is create the tasks, add the documents to the drive, and invite the users in. So it's not a lengthy process, but if your projects have a large number of users, if they had a large number of documents and tasks, then using a process that we're going to show you now is probably a better way to do this.
Yeah, so as Damien mentioned, obviously this can all be done manually if you want to create your project work groups manually. And we have got quite a lot of clients that do that. And Damien also showed you how you can manually run create the project from the company. We also have quite a lot of clients that actually trigger the creation of a project work group on the closure of a deal. So if you've won a deal, what that tends to lead on to is the creation of a project, and that can also be done using the automation tools.
Yeah, you could absolutely, Andy's right. You can use a project can be created. Sorry to interrupt. A project can be created from a stage update. So when a deal becomes won, it can trigger this process. What you could have then is an approval, I think. So you could have something that sends to somebody's workflows, so that actually the project doesn't get created automatically, but it's created once it's been approved by a manager. So you've still got some control over what's being created inside your business. Still got some interaction. Thanks.
Yeah, and that's one of the common creations of a project work group. Really, once somebody works their way through a particular deal, hits the completion stage, and then, like Damien said, it could trigger an approval, and then once that's been approved, you could create the project and set it to how you want. And the good thing about doing that is, I'm going to show you in a moment, is you can create it in a very structured manner, and maybe your projects. Maybe you have different types of projects. So if a deal is a website project, the business process could check that and then create all the website design tasks in it. If it's a logo project, it could check a field in the deal and create a logo design project and create a completely different set of tasks. So the good thing about having these processes in place is that they provide you with a very structured format of how you can create the project work groups. So let's take a look at, Damien triggered this particular process off by filling in a form on the, so click on new project here, on the activity stream. So what we can do is we can customize this form, have any form fields that you want, and then once it's triggered, it'll process through the workflow. So on the left-hand side, you'll see a workflows tab, and then we'll click into workflows in activity stream. Now we've got quite a few on our demonstration site because we've created a few different types of workflows. But if we see our new project here, click into it, and you can see all the previous projects that we've submitted before within this table. So I think the first thing to do when you're setting up your form that you wanted to fill out, if you're going to be doing it this way, is to create your fields. So if you click into the actions and then click in customize fields, then you can see here that we have a range of fields from the project name through to assigning the individuals who are users on the system. So we would use the field type link to employee. We can select a manager, designer, and we can select, we've got a date field, we've got the project description, the file, and the type of project it is. So you can see we have quite a wide range of different fields here. To create your form fields, you just simply click on add field, give it a name, select the field type, and you can even set default values if you wanted to. So once you've set up your form and ordered it in the way that you want, you can create a sort order here. So we've got project name, manager, designer, deadline, and so on. Once you've set up those, what you want to do then is you actually want to configure the workflow that is triggered when the form gets submitted. So if you just click into actions and configure workflows, and then you can see here that we have the new project workflow here. So I click into here and show you how this is configured. So once the form is submitted, then this business process is triggered. And you can see from the top here, the first thing that we have is the approve project action block. What this, when Damien submitted the form, you saw on the activity stream that an approval was required to be able to progress through this workflow. So we could specify the person who was approving it. So the good thing is with these business process tools is that you can get access to anything that was within that form that was submitted. So you can see here the person who's going to approve this. We want the project manager who was selected on the form. If you click on these three dots next to this field, and then click on element fields here. So an element field is basically one of the form fields that you're allowed to select. So you can see here that we have manager. This is a field that we created. And we've also got the designer. So if I click on manager and then click on insert, then you can see that this is going to be a dynamic selection of who's going to approve this based on the person who was selected in the form. We can give it a description, and we can change the titles of the buttons if we want. So we just click on save, and what happens then is you basically have two branches. If the project manager declines the project, it's going to send the person who's created this project a notification and say it's been declined. And then if it's been approved, in our case, as Dave mentioned, this is slightly different for the self-hosted because we're creating a extranet work group. So we're going to use the PHP block in the self-hosted. And the reason why, I'm going to show you in a little bit, we create a extranet work group is because we want to invite our clients in. Now, if you're on the cloud version, in the right-hand side here, you can use, click into other, you can see this create new work group action block. And that's just a simple case. If you wanted to create a work group, you can use this. The only restriction is at the moment, you can't create it as an extranet work group using that block. And that's why we've used this in the on-premise version. So as we move down, you can see the work group's been created. It notifies all the members. So we saw a notification pop up in the top right that gave the link to the work group. It notifies all the members of the work group and then uploads the document that was selected in the form, and then it adds it to the work group drive that we're creating. And then we have a condition here. So there was a type of project that we selected, so we could choose if it was project A or project B. And based on that selection, we can do completely different things. So as I mentioned earlier, if you've got, in this case, it's going to be project A, we can have this create a certain set of tasks. And if it was project B, then we could have another set of certain tasks. So and that's how you can customize your project and get it in a structured manner to fit what type of actual project it is. And these are really quite simple to create once you've got the hang of using the different actions in the business process editor. So it may be that you want to send an email out if it's this type of project, and you also may want to create, maybe schedule a meeting in with the client. So you could bring in the calendar event. And then it's just a case of clicking on the cog icon, and then you can select using the dots at the side who and what type of fields you want to include in the event. So these, like I say, these are a really powerful tool, and it is a very structured manner of how you can create a project using the activity stream workflow.
Okay, thanks. Okay, let's have a look at, we looked at creating a project, the business process. Let's have a look at how we can now collaborate with the client, and we'll look at how we can do reporting. See if we've got any questions though on that little section. We've got a question about where we go to get this project, where we go to enable this process. This is not a standard process that's shipped with Bitrix, but it is it's a fairly straightforward process that you could build yourself, or if you got in touch with us afterwards, we would send you the process. Probably going to need a fair bit of change, a fair few changes making to it for it to work for your business, but you can download these business processes and install them in a separate instance, so we can send it to you. We've also got a question: how is an extranet user created if I'm using a cloud account?
So I mean, an extranet user is created when you invite them into a particular work group or you invite them into the system. So they're exactly the same. They look exactly the same, really. If you were to go into invite employees on your Find Employee link in the menu, and then you can just simply click on Invite, and where it says Employee, you can then click on External User. And the purpose of an extranet user is that they have to be in an extranet work group. So you can select from your available extranet work groups. So we can maybe find the project 888 that and then you would just put an email in. So I could put in my email, and intraface.com, and then you can write a personalized message. And what will happen is I'll receive an email, and it will have a link to our version of Bitrix, and then that user can register. And once they've registered and set their own password, they'll log in, and then they'll be able to have access to everything that's within that work group. So this is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is just going into your extranet work group, as Damien showed you earlier, and clicking on invite to group. And then again, if they're not already a user, you can put their email in exactly the same box as what I've just shown you there, and the exact same will happen. They'll receive an email and a link to register.
Okay, if you are using the self-hosted, then inside the control panel, I'm not going there now, but inside the control panel is a user management section. So that would allow you to create, actually, instead of inviting them in with the self-hosted, you can create the users yourself. So you wanted to import all your existing clients or create all existing clients as users rather than needing to self-register, then you could do that with the self-hosted. That might be really a good advantage of using the self-hosted system. Okay. So let's have a look at how we can collaborate. Let's go back into our group, and in fact, you can find anything up here. If I search up here, then it will. We've got two, so it's a common name. Let's look, see if we get the right one. Okay, so it's that one. That's the one. This is the one we've just created. So as you can see, no activity as it stands inside this group. So what we might want to do is actually send a message out. So we can tag people in the activity stream, or we can search for them. So I can mention Tara Green. We can write a post in here. So in this case, we're sending a simple text post, sending it to everybody in the project group, and we're sending it to this user here as well. She's going to receive a notification, possibly by email if she has that enabled. If you want to attach files, share files, videos, you can do quite a lot more in here. Let's post that into the group, and we might then start to see some activity on these messages. So we can see that Tara's already liked that, and so we can have some back and forth activity communication with our clients and internally in this activity stream that you might traditionally have on email. And I think the benefit of using this sort of communication is that when you see these messages in a feed like this, everybody in the group can see these messages. We can like each other's messages, that you'll send a notification, say that we approve of that. We can see a little indication up here of who's actually read this message as well. If I hover over this little button here, it will tell me when somebody's actually read it. So the parameter for whether somebody's read it is whether it's actually paused on the page for a period of time. So what you'll find is you'll get a long activity stream of posts. Somebody pauses on your post for a few seconds, then it'll clock them as actually having read that post. So we can do some activity in there. I think a lot of the activity actually happens inside the tasks. So if we go into our tasks section, then you can see, in this case, we've just got one task. In your case, you're going to have a series of those. But if I open up this task, see a bit of information about what the task is for, who's created it. I can see that who's responsible for this task. We can then do things like share files inside here. So you might want to say, please check. And again, we might want to just tag in our contact, and then maybe upload a file. Let's see if we've got a file on our desktop. Let's check that. Probably would be something like a visual or something like that we need the client to approve. Post that into there. Just going to now switch into a second page here. So we're actually logged in on this section as the client here, Tara Green. We did mention that we're on a self-hosted version. Bitrix, and some benefits of the self-hosted is that it can be fully branded. So from the login page, that can be your own design. URL can be your own, so you can host on, as we're hosting here, we're hosting on demo.interface.com, so you can host on a kind of subdomain of your main website. And in addition to that, you can add some of your own content. So instead of the standard Bitrix banners or widgets on the right-hand side, we've added some the banners that link out to different features.
Yeah, I think what you see in here as well when you log in, the user automatically sees the activity stream, and because the user is only in a particular extranet work group, all the activity of that work group is going to be seen when the user logs in. So it's really good for a collaborative tool. They log in, they can understand and see what's going on within that particular extranet work group. They don't have to click into the work group if they didn't want to, if all it was to do with communications. Obviously, with the tasks, they can also see a short list of all the tasks in their task section on the left-hand side as well. So it is quite obvious, and it's very user-friendly. It's got a very friendly UI to it. So it's really good to collaborate on a particular project.
So as Andy says, you can see your tasks up here. There is a notification here that I have one needing some action. Let's go into our task page. So in this case, this user here belongs to more than one project. I think this is the project that we created just now. So we can open up the task. Tara, our client, can see this. She can review this document. She can like. She can message, and post that back to. She can also do a few other things. We've got some more advanced communication tools. If she clicks on John Smith, who's her contact, it is possible to send a message like this, and essentially we have a messenger tool built into Bitrix. This has all the functionality of Skype, so we can have instant message conversation or chat. In this way, we can share files. If you're using the desktop app, you can share screens as well. So we can have a conversation in this way. I can add additional people to this chat if I want to do that, and we can also have a video call with this user. Let's call that, and if I switch back to here, then we can actually answer this in this way. Let's hang on. Okay. So as well as there's a number of different areas you can communicate. So we looked at communicating in the activity stream in the work group. In addition to that, you've got some chat activity in the individual task, and we have a built-in messenger tool as well. Click back into the main user. So now back as John Smith. So those are that would be the main areas of a work group. I guess the tasks and drive section. In addition to that, each work group has its own calendar, and each work group or project group has its own calendar. Each employee has their own calendar. You can sync calendars with your Outlook or Gmail calendars, or view this on a mobile, create events on the mobile, or view them on a mobile. I think one of the benefits of the Bitrix calendar tool is that you can actually see, if you're trying to schedule events with other people, then you can actually start to see, put a few people in here, then you can start to see when they're actually free and when they're not free. So if we roll over, we're trying to book a meeting here for an hour period, if we roll this backwards and forwards, we can see when it conflicts and when everybody's free for an appointment. So there's been a lot of updates on that in Bitrix, and it's looking really nice now. Cancel out of that. We looked at the drive. So yeah, so Bitrix allows you to store documents, create a folder structure, and store documents inside Bitrix. It doesn't include a tool for editing documents, but you can sync. If I click on here, you can sync with a third-party tool such as your local copy of Word, or you can use an online version of Word, such as Microsoft 365 or Google Docs or something like that, in order to edit documents. Kind of view things like version history. So each time it's changed, you can see, you can roll back or see those different versions. If I want to share a document with somebody, I've not invited them into the group, and I can share it with them with this custom link. So look what else you can do. You can manage sharing it. You can lock a document so it can't be edited, which you're maybe making changes to it, and you can manage who it's actually shared with. So if you put a document inside a project group, it's going to by default be available to all users of the group, and you can then share it again additionally with people outside if you want to, outside of that group. So a fairly sort of standard process for sharing documents with users. This is our chat window, link to our chat window. We have a board in each work group called discussions, which allows you to create posts whereby people can add their own feedback. Photo library, this is some wiki. Let's just have a look in a different work group, some of those features. Let's look in a work group where we've got a bit more content. Let's go into this one. So go into a list, then explain what you might use a list for. So a list is a way to create a table of data. Each work group has this feature enabled, and it might be used for many different purposes, including maybe storing an inventory of products that have been used in a project, or for expenses. So you can see here that I have a list of expenses submitted. User can add a new item by clicking in here. I can filter by, let's say, location. I want to filter by location Europe. We can set that filter, give me a narrower search of this list, and then if I start to type for flights, I'm looking for flights now in Europe location, I can see that this is a live search. It automatically filters it to this item. So you can create structured tables of data. You can filter that data, and then in addition to that, you can run business processes. So should you need to sort of approve or reject these items, you can run a process in here on these particular items. Let's just delete that. Delete that, we see the page expands again. So I think those are the main features of a work group or a project group. You can create the project or work group manually, going into the work group section here, add your tasks and add your documents and invite your users in manually, or you can use a process which you could run from the company record. Or you could use a process which is triggered from the change in a status of an item. So let's say, click into the CRM quickly. Let's go into a deal. Go to on this view. Say that we complete a deal. We update the deal to the stage 1. This can actually trigger the process that we've looked at. Could actually create the project group, create the tasks, and do everything that we've seen here. So you can create projects manually. You can create them in a structured way using a form and a process, and you can invite your client into the project group. You can communicate with them. You can share, collaborate with them on tasks, and you can share documents with them. And there's additional features that you might find useful, like the lists for storing information. Okay, let's see if we've got any questions on that section.
Can you use a chat feature to make group video calls. So yeah, you certainly can. I think we only showed you one-on-one video calls there. You can have a video call up to 4 people. So you can, and that's the same thing with a voice call as well. So you can have a group call, video or voice, up to 4 people at the minute.
Yeah. Can actually users access the portal on the mobile app? Yes. So Bitrix has a free of charge mobile app. You can access whether you're a cloud or a self-hosted customer, whether you're a main user, an admin, or an extranet user, you can download that app. And if you have the address of the site and the username and password, then you can access your project group in the mobile app.
Just got about a question just about tracking time on tasks. So we're going to go into tasks in a little bit. So I think we'll be able to show you how to track time.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that in a minute. Okay, can you make group video calls? So we looked at how you can make a video call. All right, we've done that. Okay. Okay, cool. So we'll look at then finally, I think to finish off, we'll look at how you can do some reporting. So I guess critically on projects, you need to see which are on time and which parts and which people are on time with their section of the project. So there's different ways, many different ways you can do this in Bitrix. So I think the core really of Bitrix projects will be the tasks. We can see how you can view on a page like this. If I go into my tasks, I can actually view every task sat within each individual project here. If we just scroll down, we can see tasks here that have gone red, which are overdue. So with a task, you can give it a start date and an end date. So let's just navigate to a group that has a bit more content. Okay, so we're looking for this group here. So we have a project here, XYZ, and we can see there's a series of tasks inside there. I can see on this list view just who's responsible for each individual task. We can see if there's a deadline. We get an indication of whether they're overdue on that deadline. Sorry, this is created by this field is responsible. I can see a lot of other information over here. Let's go to the right. Things like status. If you want to manage time on tasks, you could do that. You could put in an estimated time for a task, either by hour or by day. You can track the actual time, actually spent on this task as well. And we've got things like this. So if you want to do some indication on, some reporting on the outcome of a task, was it positive, negative, or neutral? Andy mentioned tracking time on tasks. You can see if you have it enabled, it's an option to turn on or turn off within tasks, but we can clock into individual tasks like this. So I'm now recording live my time spent on this task. If I open it up, then we can see that I'm still recording time on it. There's a second way of adding time to a task. If I go into time here, I can also add, say we spent some time on this task previous day, and we forgot to clock into it. We can add a block of time on a task as well. So there are a number of ways to track individual users' time on tasks. So we can view a list of tasks. I can move these columns around to create my own view. You can add additional columns. So you can actually create custom fields within tasks now. So if you've got certain sort of drop-down fields or date fields that you want to add to a task, you can then filter by those by adding them to this list view. We've got some custom fields fields here. Initial fee. Let's see what that one is. Probably not populated, but not populated in this case. But we can add any fields, whether they're standard or custom. You can rearrange these fields, very customizable. Any changes that I make to this view will be just viewed by myself. You can then filter by any of those fields at the top. Say we want to filter by responsible person, probably only interested from a personal point of view in my own tasks. I can filter down by individual tasks that I'm actually responsible for. Or indeed, as a manager, you can filter by tasks that one of your team is responsible for. Two other ways of viewing tasks. I can go into the planner. It allows me to view tasks in a Kanban view. So we have different stages here. We can open up a task from the Kanban view here. Slides in like this very nicely. You can move tasks along simply like this, and we get quite a bit of indication about who's in this case. Mostly this guy John Smith is responsible for most of these tasks, but we can view down here who's on these tasks. We can see indications on which are overdue. We can add additional tasks on this page. Pretty much do everything. Again, you can do a filter as well. So I'm filtering by my own task. Let's take that filter out. In fact, let's take some more of these filters out. We don't need tag. We don't need priority. And search. And then we can see that it opens up quite a bit. We've got quite a lot of tasks now on this view. Third way we can view tasks is by Gantt. And so I can see tasks in this view. Let's view out. Let's zoom out. And so zoom out. We can see tasks now starting and end dates. We can do things like create dependencies. If I want one task to start and another task finish, we can view that. We can see which tasks have started, so the little blue line or little red line in the middle of the bar means the task is in progress, and we can quite clearly see which tasks are overdue in this view. Again, we can filter right at the top, and now within Bitrix you can print to a PDF many records within Bitrix, including tasks themselves and this Gantt chart view. So we can create a view like this. Okay. So we can view tasks in there. There's a few different ways that you can view projects overall. If I click into projects, I get a page that shows me each of my individual projects, an indication of performance, which is a measurement of how many tasks have been completed, an indication of how many tasks are ongoing. And I think you can choose to deselect some of these fields that you view in here. You go to the little cog in the right-hand corner. Again, we can filter, so I can filter by my own tasks if I want to do that. Another useful page is involvement. So we've looked at tasks from a project by project basis. From a project by project basis, in the involvement page, we can actually view tasks by a user on a user basis. So I can drill down on this particular user and see that actually you've got quite a few tasks which are all running it concurrently. So it gives you a bit of an indication on who's going to be becoming available for future projects. You can open any task from this page as well. Kanban allows you to view tasks by group again, similar to what we've looked at before, but I can switch between my projects here to view different projects. In addition to that, we can create a custom report. So should one of these dashboards or list views not suit your reporting requirements, then it's possible to create a report on any of the data inside the task. So you want to report on deadlines, overdue tasks, time spent on projects is a critical one. And so I can see Again, this guy's the most busy in this organization, but I can view a graph of all users and their tasks, and then we can drill down into a table that shows me line by line by line how much time has been spent on tasks in the system. If you've got permission, you can edit this report, and you can export these as well. Just to finish off, across the top on tasks, you can see a number of different standard filters. All would be the sort of default one, but if you just want to see ones that you've created, you've got those sort of types of filters across the top. Okay, so we looked at how you can create a project, how you can collaborate on a project, how you can report. Let's see if we've got any questions. We've got a question about how task dependencies work. Probably don't have a lot of time to show you, but so a quick look. So we looked at this here, whereby when a task finishes, this one will end. So you can create these dependencies from the Gantt chart. So very simply, I think there's 4 really essentially that it makes sense that there are 4 different types. So when one starts, another one will start. When one finishes, another one can finish. When one finishes, another one starts. When one starts, another one can finish. I think all the 4 different dependencies you can create. You can do that in the Gantt chart to allow you to create a series of tasks that you need to do to deliver your project.
It's got a question about viewing tasks in your Outlook calendar. So yeah, as long as you sync your calendar, then that is possible. You just need a start date and an end date on your tasks to be able to book that time within your calendar. So as long as you're adding the tasks that way and you're showing the tasks in your calendar, because there's an option to just select in your calendar, then yeah, it will sync to your local calendar.
Okay, so we mentioned self-hosted a couple of times. Just to clarify, benefits of self-hosted over the standard cloud. For project management, I think you can create a branded portal. If you're inviting your client in, the login page will be custom. The URL is your own URL. You can do some customizations on what banners they see on the right-hand side, customize the menus a little bit better. So it might be, if you're inviting third parties in, it might be worth considering a self-hosted solution. Just on that, you don't need to host it yourself. We can we can install it on a web server for you, either a web server you rent, or we can install an instance on our own server space for you and give you access. So essentially, it's a cloud solution. You just choose where the hosting is and manage the hosting yourself, or ask a partner to manage the hosting. There is some additional benefits in terms of the automation. When we set the project up, we used a PHP block, which you don't get on the cloud, to create an extranet work group. So some little benefits there as well. You can customize the pages. And we looked at reporting, and there's a lot of different ways of report on projects within Bitrix. If you want something that's not available, you want to report create a custom dashboard or something, then it's possible to do that on the self-hosted. So that's it. In summary, you can create a fully connected process. So from winning a new deal to inviting the client in, to creating the project, to collaborating with them inside the project using Messenger or video or voice calls. You can create a nice portal environment, especially on the self-hosted. And there's ways to do a number of different ways to do reporting on where everybody is up to with individual projects. So we have a webinar at the same time every week, and coming up, we're looking at the CRM, we look at project management, we look at HRs in detail, we look at business processes, and then also every week, in addition to that, we have a live session on YouTube. No need to register for Bitrix Live. We'll answer any questions. There's no subject area. We'll answer any questions that come over the chat or your email in advance. there's the links to our webinars, Bitrix Live page.
Yes, Bitrix Live is every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And like David mentioned, that there isn't any particular subject. So if you are demoing it or using it, testing it out, and you need to know any questions that might be exactly for your business, then we're here to help, and we can show you on screen how to do certain things. So that's every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Bye.